right, how's it going, everyone? My name is Kota Unlocks, and welcome to
Hello,
another
hello.
episode of the Huddle. Today, I'm joined by Joey D. King,
How you
and yeah.
doing?
Hey, how's it going? How have you been since the murder mystery?
Yeah, it's been quite a little bit of time, honestly. It gives me a good chance to like settle down and start a family. No, I'm joking, but um, because I do this thing, right, where I'm suddenly captivated to do a really big project for no reason and spend the next like month or two just working on the project and stop all other things. Now that that's over, I finally get a chance to do back what I really like doing, which is making clips and drawing and stuff.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so that's what I've been doing. I'm getting back into my draw game, getting back to my clip game. Trust me, I love these big projects, but they eat up all my time. Like I can't do
Oh
anything
yeah,
else whenever I
yeah.
got a thing. Like my last one, I think was my 1 year anniversary stream, right? And man, I think okay, so that was back in April, right?
Uh-huh.
So I did a big project back in April. I'm doing one in August. So every couple months, I'll do something like this. And for that one, I like streamed for like 16 hours for like 3 days, only taking like 8 hours a day to sleep. So I took time off work and
Jeez,
I just streamed for like 3 days pretty much. Um,
was like a full
and that was my
subathon,
big
or was
project.
it just streams?
I wouldn't call it a subathon. It was more like just a stream marathon, But it
Uh-huh.
did have some interesting like I didn't want to spice it up. So for the stream marathon, right? There were these punishments that would show up based on how many concurrent viewers I had across Twitch and YouTube. And I set
Uh-huh.
them to fairly realistic things. That way I can like actually achieve a couple of the punishments. And I wonder if I could send it to you so you can get like so you can like see what I'm talking about. But a lot of the punishments were really cool. And I did a whole like, okay, I'm doing these punishments for my stream marathon. But if for any reason I do another stream marathon, I'm never doing these punishments again. So these are the punishments. They're never going to show up again ever for any reason. And thank God, because some of them are pretty intense. I remember the one I really wanted to do the most was the ban one game for life. So I think
For
it's if
life.
for life. Yeah, here I'll send it to you on Discord. Maybe you could bring it up on your OBS so everyone watching can see the little contractual obligation I put down.
I'll add it in post.
Nice, nice. So here we have a little drawing I made just for the occasion. It says, what's a punishment if it doesn't leave a mark? Contractual obligation. Should the streamer reach the concurrent viewership for 400 seconds, the following binding punishments are to be dealt. At 3, which was pretty realistic, one non-TOS breaking tweet, so any tweet that
Uh-huh.
does not break TOS, feel free to. Profile change, non-TOS breaking, of course, at 6. At 9, ask out someone I find cute on stream. That was achieved. At 12, get drunk. That one was also achieved. At 15, hot sauce chug. That was also achieved. The hot sauce was a little mild, so I had to get myself some chili. It just didn't feel hot enough. Which, interestingly enough, while I reached 15, that was also when I did my Just Dance stream. So I
Uh-huh.
was sweating from the dancing, and I was sweating from the chili peppers. But I was this close. I was maybe one or two away from the sixth punishment: ban one game for life. Um, Excluding games that I am currently in the middle of a collab of, being Elden Ring. But other than that, any game is up for grabs. You could say Minecraft, you could say Fortnite, you could say Dead by Daylight, and it would be banned for life. But that is never coming back, and we were this close. But if I do something like this again, it's probably going to be ban a game for a year or something like that. So next stream marathon, it'll look something like ban a game for a year.
Mm.
That sounds. It's not the same as ban for life, but it's pretty impactful.
It's still pretty big, yeah, especially if it's a game that you like to play.
Exactly.
And is that 3 hour dance?
Yeah, 3 hour dance at 21. We never reached there, but 3 hours of just dancing.
I would
There's this
die.
game called Just Dance Now. You can get on mobile, right?
Uh-huh.
And for Just Dance Now, right, you pay like $3 and they let you dance all day as much as you want. If you play it for free, you get 2 dances. That's it. At
Those are
24, new
crazy. I
mod,
was
and the final, yeah,
Oh, go ahead.
yeah, and the final punishment at 33, which I was like, oh, I'm probably not going to reach that, but just in case, let's put a high one with high bounty. Baby picture post. I will post my actual baby pictures. That's not coming back, but That was pretty cool.
Yeah. I have a goal going on right now where you donate the channel points, and if it's reached, I'll do a subathon. I'm trying to think of like
Okay.
challenges and stuff to do during that. I don't
Oh,
know
feel free to
if
use
I'm
any of these
gonna
if you come up with
ban a
any cool
game
ones.
for life though. That sounds intense. I might do the hot sauce chug.
Yeah, the hot sauce is not bad. Hot sauce chug. Just get something hotter than sriracha. We're
Yeah,
talking 200 Scovilles at least.
I can't. I'm terrible with spice. So
That's what makes the spice challenge so much better.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, that was my last big thing, my streamathon. The most recent one, like this weekend, was the murder mystery. I planned that like
Mm.
2 months in advance.
Oh yeah.
Tried to get everyone, as many people as I could. 24 participants came. That was crazy. That was like my biggest number of people for a collab ever. The last one, I think, was for my birthday stream in December. Yeah, you see these happen like every 4 months, right? December and then April and then August. It's like every 4 months I do some shit like this.
the
But
the murder mystery was like so crazy with how many people there were. I had the Foogies laid out,
exactly.
and like they had to be made so small to fit everyone that you couldn't see
Yeah.
anything.
They were so tiny. They're so tiny. Oh man. But like honestly, the planning paid off because I had to memorize everyone's names and I had to memorize everyone's jobs, and
Mm.
everyone had like a fake name on top of their job. So you had
My-
like the
Mine
gold
was
digger that had
swapped.
her own name. Yeah. And I think the train tycoon was like Cecilius. So I had to remember who was Cecilius and who the train tycoon was. And yeah. I didn't spoil myself for it, so I was as surprised as everyone else for the pilot. But that was a very compelling case for the pilot. I'll give it to them.
I had this whole arc. I wrote off the pilot right away because I was like, oh well, he just confessed to 2 murders. He wouldn't do another murder.
And then confessed, and then not confessed to it.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
the very end, I was like, oh damn. It's like I think it's a pilot, but also being manipulated by the gold digger. Like
A 2-on-1, a two on
yeah.
one, a double trouble. Not unheard of, but thankfully for this murder mystery, it was all like laid out. Like I bought this one online,
Mm,
which reassured me that it was going to go well because it's I got it online. Like there's no way something
right.
online could be faulty. That's just unheard of. So what's in store next for me? I don't know. I try a little bit of everything, I guess. Like I think the first thing I did when I started streaming to get me out of my comfort zone was I did a cover song. I'm like, that's what streamers do. They do
Right.
cover songs, right? So I'm gonna do one. I did one of
VTubers
King.
specifically, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. King by Canary, because appropriately named King. Um, and it was pretty good. I got it mixed. I drew the cover up myself for it, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do a little bit of what every streamer does. I think I also did an ASMR stream shortly after because I'm like, yeah, people do that. People do ASMR streams,
Mhm.
and yeah, now I'm just kind of branching out, just looking at random stuff to do. Like I'm getting into reactions and like video essays and shit. And I'm like, you know what? Let's try this out. It can't
I've
be like people do it like for
yeah.
fun.
I've always wanted to do a video essay, and like I write the script and I'm like, man, this is a lot to go into.
It's a lot of writing.
Yeah.
Like, you
Lot of
write a lot
research.
and then you read it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want to get caught with like bad research. You don't want to get caught saying something incorrect. They'll tell you apart. But like I often find like that I'll write a lot and then I'll read it out and it's like 8 minutes. And then that's it. And I'm like, I spent like weeks writing this. It was only like 8 minutes. Jesus Christ.
I will say this has been so far the easiest podcast episode that we've done. Usually I have to like really make the the guests talk about themselves.
Oh, I see. Well,
You're
in that case,
spewing it out.
much harder. I'm going to make this much
No,
harder.
no,
for you.
no,
I'm
no,
gonna start clamming up. You've clammed me up now.
Who made your model? I know you're an artist. Did you like draw it yourself and then have someone else rig it, or?
Yeah, funny story about that. So my model, I made it myself, but it was not my first choice. Completely honest. Because people warned me how difficult this was going to be. People warned me and said this is like really hard. Like you're probably not going to get it. That's how hard it is. And I'm like, oh fuck that! I'm just gonna get somebody to do it because like I could draw, but apparently it's like a whole different process drawing models for rigging, and it is. It
Yeah, it
is
is. It's a lot more. You have to like account for where they overlap and
everything.
stuff. Yeah.
Layers, layers. It's like onions. Anyway, so I was like, I had this idea for this streamer. Actually, let me start a bit more back. So
All right.
one day I was browsing YouTube, and YouTube does this thing where they'll change the logo, kind of like how Google does to celebrate certain events or content creators or things that they just want to shout out to. They'll mix up their YouTube logo, right?
Yeah.
So one day I was streaming on, well, not streaming. One day I was watching like shit on YouTube, and then I looked at the logo, and then it had anime on it. I'm like, why is there anime on my YouTube logo? That's weird. Then I hover over, and it's like, oh, we're celebrating virtual streamers, and I'm like, damn, I know what streamers are. I got into them during the pandemic, and I'm like, damn, they must be so popular now because like YouTube is like recognizing them like officially in their logo. It's not just like an underground thing. So I'm like, okay, this is pretty popular, right? But then I'm like, you know what? I haven't seen yet. I haven't seen like a parody of virtual streamers out yet. You know, like if you look at Shrek, right? Shrek is like a parody of like Disney fantasy, obviously, right?
Right.
Where it looks like Disney fantasy, but it's just a parody of it because the main character's an ogre. Or you look at something like One Punch Man. That's a parody of like Shonen, right? Because the protagonist beats everyone in one punch in some super dramatic fashion, and he shows up late. You know, it's just a parody of Shonen battle manga. So, you know, naturally speaking, anything that's popular has a parody of it. Were you going to say something?
I was just going to say, Deadpool is the parody of the Marvel movies.
Exactly.
And,
yeah. Well, I'd say Deadpool's like a parody of like a lot of superheroes, but he's a different kind of parody than say like The Boys or like Peacemaker is.
True. Yeah.
In that The Boys and Peacemaker are both parodies of superheroes, but they are what is called an inversion parody. An inversion parody, if I could just go on a tangent. An inversion parody is basically where you parody something, you like satire it, but you invert certain non-crucial aspects of the thing you're parodying. So that way you could still call it the same genre, but you flipped aspects of it on its head. Like Shrek is inversion because instead of having the main character be a hero or something, or like a prince, the main character is an ogre. There's no rule saying you can't, but by specifically inverting who the protagonist is from a hero to an ogre, that's inversion parody. Whereas One Punch Man is not inversion. One Punch Man is what's called exaggeration parody, where you
it's
just take something you're parodying.
Yeah.
Exactly. You take what's in the genre and you turn it to the extreme. You turn it to 11.
There's another one. I to segue to my anime talk that
South
we have
Park
to have.
is.
Oh, Archer, yeah. Have you seen the regular at the Demon Prince Academy or something like that?
No. Honestly, that sounds like a million other animes I've seen.
That's kind of the idea. It's an inversion of the whole like harem school, where a guy goes to like a magical school. So he's the Demon King. Literally, they'll throw the most complex like entire season's worth plot at him, and he solves it in a single season and be like a single episode and be like, well, you know, I'm the Demon King, so.
Well, I guess that's just it then. Open and shut. Demon King. Done.
Yeah.
Yeah, parody is very interesting. In my opinion, I think I'm pretty good at parody. Not to toot my own horn here or anything. So anyway, I saw that and I'm like, where is virtual streamer parody? Where's the streamer that's meant to be like the anti-virtual streamer? That's like specifically meant to parody the culture of it. Not in like a mean way, but in like a Shrek way, you know?
Yeah.
Or like in a One Punch way, where like I know a lot about virtual streaming culture and all that. And I specifically try to invert it and parody it with my character, right? Like my character looks fairly atypical, right? Like I don't really look like, I guess what one would say a cliche character would look like. And that's on purpose. So back to the story, I was trying to find an artist that would make my character. I'm like, can you make him like fat? And can you make him kind of like that ugly bastard type? And can you make him a mime? And I couldn't find anyone that would do it.
I've seen an ugly bastard VTuber before.
Same. Like I've also seen ugly bastard VTuber. But like all the artists I contacted, and I contacted like a dozen of them, told me I could just do anime girl for you. So if you want anime girl, that's what I can do.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, no, that's the exact opposite of what I'm looking for. Actually, I can't do parody if I'm anime girl. That's not the kind of parody I'm doing. I'm doing inversion here, right? So why the mime? The mime is actually interesting. Like, why throw in mime there? One, to kind of spice it up. Two, because it fits very thematically with what I'm trying to do here. Because, like, okay, in my opinion, I like to see streaming as a kind of like performance art. You know, like it's live. There's interaction with the audience. It's not really like a like what one would consider like a painting. It's a performance. You're there for when it's there, right? And it's a performance when you're there to see it live. So I'm like, I have to throw some level of thespianism in this. But what kind of thespian, right? Like I could do like, oh, I'm a bad actor, or I could do like, oh, I'm like a retired drama teacher or something. But I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go with mime, right? A mime is a kind of performance actor, you know. Um, and plus, I really like the aesthetic of a mime because it's very obvious that I'm a mime if you see my model, right? So because like how do I go like retired drama professor look? Like what do I wear? Like a beret or something? I don't know. But mime is like it's in your face. Like you instantly know I'm a mime at first look. I don't have to explain it. So that's why I decided to go with ugly bastard and mime. It just fits so thematically. And the last thing, of course, to reel it all in together, is my character in lore is a big fan of virtual streamers. One in specific, another OC of mine. I'm not sure if you probably haven't seen her because I don't really talk about her that much. But in lore, she is this. She's like the greatest streamer ever to exist, and she's one of my OCs I made. I call her Miss Perundies. That's pair undies. That's, of course, a pun for parody. But if you say parody, it kind of sounds like you're saying pair undies. Let me see if I could bring up my drawing of her. Because she's another interesting character I made. There's like so much to dissect about her.
Well, while you're bringing
this is
that up,
some
did I see properly that I was lurking the other day? Did I see properly that you had a female model also?
I do, but that came much later. The female model came like I think I made the female model like 4 months ago. Because a bunch of my friends were talking about doing stuff for April Fools, and I'm like, you know what? I think someone brought up like, oh, I'm going to gender bend my model. Like, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. That's what I'm going to do. So for April 1st, I made a female model. I couldn't think of a name for her, but then one of my friends' friends mispronounced my name and called me Jody on stream, and I'm like, oh, that's it. That's the name, Jody C. Queen.
You should make an alt Twitter handle.
And, oh yeah, just give her her own Twitter, and then she just posts like she's like not me or something. Yeah. Actually, hold on. This probably isn't the best picture of Miss Brundies because it's missing one crucial detail. I actually had another art like I get a lot of my art commissioned. Like I draw some of my own stuff.
Yeah,
but I just love getting art. I just commission a lot myself.
I saw one that you post. Oh, this is the one you posted in the server.
Yeah. This one is much better because you could see the big light behind her. So Miss Perundies in lore, she is like the greatest. She's like stupidly good at streaming. She has like 1 billion subscribers. Her ASMR instantly puts people to sleep like on the second. I'm trying to think. She has like a YouTube play button made out of smaller diamond YouTube play buttons. They couldn't just give her one. Just a bunch of like she is the essence of exaggeration parody. She's like the One Punch Man of streaming. And I'm like her biggest fan, right? And right before like I started streaming, she went on a 10,000 year hiatus. So I'm waiting for her to come back out of hiatus.
And so you're taking over while she's gone?
Pretty much. Not really taking over because I'm just like a fan,
Right,
just like consider me like the average schmo virtual streamer fan. The only difference is my Oshi is Miss Perundies, this pink-haired girl here. When I was designing her, there's like a lot of interesting design choices here. I'd say the biggest one is probably the giant ring light behind her.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you add that in post, you definitely won't miss it. So the reason for the ring light, it's okay. So essentially, I saw a video essay on virtual streamer designs, and it's different from just standard anime designs, right? Someone has noticed over time that virtual streamers have started to get bigger and more audacious headpieces. And if you compare that to just a standard anime design, this is a huge difference. Because like normal anime characters don't have giant headpieces for no reason. But why? Why have the giant headpiece? Well, well, I can't quote them exactly because I don't remember what they said. But the reasoning was essentially because most of the model is chest up, you want all the attention on the head. That's why, you know, later and later generations of virtual streamers get more bigger and more audacious headpieces, right? With like more intricate designs, because you want all the attention up here on the head. You don't want it down there where the legs are. So I thought, what's the most audacious headpiece I could think of? I was like, oh, maybe I give her a big hat. And I'm like, no, I got to give her like a halo, something that has like some angelic themes to it. So I'm like, okay, I'll give her a halo, but not just a halo. I made it a huge ring light because one, it's like stupidly
streamer,
and two,
yeah,
it's like thematic. It shows that like she's a huge egomaniac because her big headpiece is literally a ring light.
Maybe the only way to one up that is to get a bunch of neon arrows pointing at her.
Just a bunch of arrows. Okay, that might be a little too on the nose. Well, I guess I left out one last piece of information. So the handle of the ring light actually just goes on forever. It's always out of frame because it just keeps going and going and going forever and ever. That's how big it is. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You never see the end of the handle because it's just the biggest headpiece I could think of. But that is like 90. That's like 80% of my lore, honestly. Just me and her. That's it.
That's all you need.
Yeah, that's all. I mean, I got a bunch of cool stuff now. Like if anyone's ever been to any of my streams, you might have noticed a fish, a talking big mouth bass in the background that reads like all my chat. He's a newer character. Given every character I made is some sort of paranomasia, some kind of pun. Like even my name is a pun for like joking, right? Joey King, King, Miss Perundies, Miss Parody. So you know, I was like, you know what? I'll keep up with the whole, you know, every name is a pun. And what better pun than the name Punny or Puny? So the name of my fish, my big mouth bass fish that reads all my chats, is Puny the bass, which is both ironic and a pun. Because if it's a big mouth bass, how can it be puny? And also puny being punny.
And if your chat is anything like mine, it will constantly say puns.
Honestly, I do get a lot of jokes. Some of my friends are real funny, and they come in and they just make them say swears all the time. I didn't ban any words; like he just swears sometimes. I was like, okay, potty mouth, puny today, huh?
So yeah, well, we've covered a lot of ground. I was gonna say to cover like what kind of content you usually make. You're pretty variety, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah. So I like to do a bunch of stuff because there's so honestly, streaming has become like my main hobby now. So I just combine all my other hobbies with streaming, and it just eats it up, right? Like, I'm really big into drawing, so sometimes I do drawing streams because I'm like, well, drawing is my hobby and streaming is my hobby. Just take the two, combine them into one, and boom, you got a stream right there. I play a lot of video game streams, big time gamer, so obviously, you know, I'm gonna do a lot of gaming streams.
I haven't been in any of our collabs yet, though.
Oh no! Honestly, I got so many collabs already. Like I got into the Vhuddle. By the way, Vhuddle, where streamers come to huddle. I was paid to say that. But yeah,
paid?
so like, yeah, I'm getting paid for that. But yeah, I'm in so many collabs like already. Like I can break down my schedule for you real quick. So I usually don't stream on Mondays. Usually, like only on a special occasion I'll stream on Monday because on weekends I like to stay up late. And what's going to happen is I'm going to stay up late on Sunday, get no sleep on a Monday, wake up for work, and then be super tired for a Monday stream. So that's why I usually don't stream on Monday.
That's a weird Solomon Grundy puzzle.
Exactly. That's all. Yeah. I'm just Solomon Grundy, but like for streaming on a Monday. And then on Tuesdays, I have it split bi-weekly between two of my friends. So on one Tuesdays, I'll stream Halo, and on the other Tuesdays, I'll usually stream like the finals or Abiotic Factor. So my Tuesdays are usually always full between like my friends. And then on Wednesdays, I might stream. I might be free on a Wednesday, maybe not. People usually grab me and be like, "Hey, you got some time next week?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not streaming anything on Monday." Like Monday's usually a free day. But on Thursdays, I'm also pretty backed up because on Thursdays I stream bi-weekly between two friends, and I'm either streaming like horror games, or I'm streaming variety games. And then on Fridays, well, actually, these Thursdays I'm split between Elden Ring and like horror games. And then on Fridays I'm usually free, so Fridays I might do something. And on Saturdays I'm always booked between either more Dark Souls or Elden Ring.
Mm.
And then on Sundays I'm also booked where I stream bi-weekly. See, like I always split it bi-weekly. And on Sundays I'm usually either streaming like Don't Starve, or I'm streaming Abiotic Factor, which is my new addiction game. So that leaves me like Mondays, which is like, don't want to stream on a Monday. Wednesdays and Fridays to like not to do any other streaming. So I guess I'm streaming usually like 4 times a week now, which I didn't think I was capable of, but here I am.
I mean, that's pretty impressive. I cannot. Well, I have a son, part of the reason, but I cannot keep that kind of schedule.
Yeah, no, like honestly, I find it hard enough with just like a full-time job keeping this kind of schedule. Dream. I also gotta like, not like I have to. I do it for fun, but also like clip and draw and like plan stuff. Like, I'm probably planning something for December. I don't know what it's going to be, but I'm going to plan something for December. So like, but I mainly do it because it's a lot of fun. It's very fulfilling, I gotta say. Like if anyone watches my shorts, if you see like my early shit, my video editing was like so bad, right? Like my first short I ever made was of what's that game called? Slay the Spire. And it was okay, right? Like I just kind of copied what everyone else was doing.
Yeah.
But the editing was just not there. And then you keep watching. By the time you get up to like, I don't know, my Elden Ring clips, my video editing is pretty on point. Honestly, I always think my next short is like the best one I ever made, because I always put the most amount of work into it compared to my last one. So yeah, I'm always looking forward to drawing. I'm always looking forward to video editing and stuff. Oh wait, shit. I got sidetracked. I never finished the story about my model. Yeah, so
Oh, sorry.
yeah, because no one would take me up on my request, I was like, okay, I have to do it. Right? It's up to me. If this is ever going to exist, it's probably going to be up to me to do it, because no one wants to take it. Like if I look hard enough, maybe I find somebody. But there's like also so many like prerequisites and like other kind of red tape. Like just going through artists, there was like so much red tape. I was like, well, I can make you a model, but then like I still own it. But if you want to own it, you could pay extra, and then you got to wait, and you might not get it, and you got to find trustworthy artists. I'm like, I'm an artist. I'll just figure it out.
Yeah.
So I was like, I got to work, started drawing, and then I saw a video series tutorial on YouTube on how to draw your model specifically set for rigging, like how to layer it. And I'm like, okay, this is kind of useful. And then I found a free model somebody had where it was all like a Photoshop document where it's already pre-layered. And I'm like, I'll just kind of copy their layering, right? I'm like, okay, they have a layer for teeth. They have a layer for tongue. They have a layer for inside of mouth. They have a layer for lips. They have a layer for face. They have a layer for separate parts of the hair. It's like 80% of it is just in the face, and the rest of it is can kind of just be 1 or 2 layers. Like the arms and the body are kind of just 1 or 2 layers, honestly, and the legs are just 1 layer, because it doesn't need to really move, at least for what I'm using my model for. So 80% of the work is just gonna be in the face, the eyes, the eyelids, the face, the ears, the hair. It's all just in the face. And like 70% of the way through, when I was done with my model, I'm like, I don't like this. This looks like off. This doesn't look like what I was trying to do. Like the prototype Joey, I was like 70% done with it. And then I was like, this doesn't look like good. This doesn't look like what I'm trying to do. Maybe it's just because I need to practice or whatever. Maybe just because I'm rusty. But I decided to throw out that whole thing. I'm like, I'm going to throw this whole thing out and start over from scratch. And then I made a new... Yeah, the Proto Joey is out. We're throwing that one out. That one's going in the bin. We're not even going to look at it because it's going to bias my next drawing. So I started for a new drawing, and this one went way better. This one is essentially just the one you see now. I was like, this one fits everything. Like everything has a meaning. Like the hair, the makeup has a meaning. The tie has a meaning. The shirt has a meaning. The pants have a meaning. Like I could like sit here for hours just explaining every little detail I put in to my model that signifies something. Like here's a short example. The use of straight lines in my model, right? Like my makeup has straight lines, and my shirt has straight lines that go like horizontal. My makeup is vertical. My tie has straight lines that go crisscross, and my pants have straight lines that go horizontal. The point of the straight lines is it's supposed to be essentially like the antithesis of my Oshi, because I drew my Oshi with a lot of curved lines.
Oh yeah.
Like if you look at her design, there's a lot more curves in hers as opposed to my lines, which are very straight, as opposed to show the dichotomy between me and my Oshi, which of course, one could interpret as like the big gap between the fan and the streamer or something like that. Honestly, I just wanted to have some dichotomy. So I'm like, okay, lines and curves. But that's just one example. Like I could sit here for hours explain every little thing, but this isn't just this isn't a podcast about design or my design. So I'll just kind of leave it at that.
I mean, this is a podcast about whatever you want to talk about. This is just to help people get to know you.
I mean, yeah, sure. Well, that's just a taste of my design stuff. Kind of want to talk about other stuff. Like, let me see here. Afterwards, like, okay, the whole rigging process. I'll be completely honest. It was like a nightmare.
Oh yeah.
I saw a whole like video tutorial about how to rig your drawing, and I was like, okay, they give me a 42-day free trial. I'm gonna prep before I download this. I'm gonna like watch the whole video series, pretend like I understand what's going on, and then I'm gonna download it, take that 42-day free trial, and then try to rig it. I did it, and like every day I would rig, literally every day. This was the most determined I've ever been in my life for like anything. Like to put in perspective, like I draw as like an artist, but I would draw like once or twice like a year max, and then like never draw again. Go long periods of time without drawing. Like I was not prolific at all while drawing. Like I would draw something, and then I would not draw for months, and then I would draw again, and then that's it for the year. Right? So I would draw, but barely. But I was so determined. I would rig and draw literally every day, sometimes for hours, sometimes for like 8 hours straight. And at the time, I was unemployed, so I had like plenty of free time. But I would like draw and rig every day for hours. So, like the whole day would just be drawing and rigging. And I did that for like a month. And by the end of the month, my model was done. And that is the story of how my model came to be.
So fully drawn and fully rigged by yourself.
Oh yeah. Honestly, it is so much better. Like I would recommend if anyone has the time and the patience, do what I just did, because like there's no red tape. Like I can customize my model. I own it. I can do whatever the hell I want with it. Since I know how to rig, I can like I've rigged a bunch of cool costumes for my character because like I know how to do it, right? I just move this, recolor that, add a little mustache there, and boom. Bada bing, bada boom. I don't gotta be like, oh, Mr. Please, can you please bless me with a costume, please? And then they get back to me a month later. I'm like, I don't know, no. And I'm like, oh darn. But like, since I did it, I could just, do it myself.
Yeah, you were Thanos with the Infinity Glove.
Yes, it's too much power for one man. Too much power for one man. I could like rig a mustache to myself. No one would know it's me.
Where'd Joey go?
Where'd he go? Oh, peekaboo. But yeah, like learning to rig, it's pretty tough, but definitely fulfilling. Like the fish, my big mouth base that I have. I mean, like obviously I drew it, but also rigged it because I'm like, I think the story with the fish was I saw on Twitter someone posted their mascot. I'm like, what the hell's a mascot? I've never seen that. And I'm like, wait, I have seen those. Like a lot of the streamers I used to watch would have like this little pet. So that's a mascot.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? I should get a mascot. But what mascot should it be? Since I'm parody, I can't just have a mascot like everybody else. It has to be like an inversion of everyone's mascot, right? Like I could just make like a little Joey or like a little animal Joey or something and just call it that. But I'm like, no. So it sat in the back of my mind for the longest time. I'm like, I'm gonna keep my eye out for an idea. It's gonna hit me like in the middle of the night. It's gonna hit me at 3 a.m. A random idea. I'm like, that's it. That's the mascot. So I kept that in the back of my mind. And then I was watching Sopranos one day, and then like okay, if you've ever seen The Sopranos, there's a scene where Tony Soprano beats this guy up because he like brought a big mouth fish toy into the office. And I guess like Tony was like really like angry that day, and he just beat him up for that. I'm like, God damn, why? But that big mouth fish was super funny. It just sang, and I'm like, that's it. That's the mascot, the big mouth bass fish.
I used to have that fish when I was a kid. I used to play it all the time.
I love the songs. It would play only like 3 songs. It would play like "I Will Survive" and like 2 other songs. I think it's like
"Here's a little
Toss Me in the River." Yeah. Yeah, and I was like, okay, this is awesome. One, because it talks, right? Like it's supposed to talk, so I could use it to like read out chat or whatever. 2, it doesn't look cute at all. Sorry, Puny, but it's not drawn to be cute at all. So, it's a mascot, but it doesn't look cute. But it's certainly very. It has a good presence. Let's call it that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought about getting a little pet mascot thing, but I just couldn't see it working with my aesthetic, so it's like
Honestly, it's gonna hit you in the middle of the night. You're gonna like wake up from a cold sweat at 3 a.m. and you're gonna know like the perfect mascot.
That's how all great ideas happen.
Exactly. The 3 a.m. ideas. The murder mystery, I think, was a 3 a.m. idea too. I was like, you know what? I think the idea started with like I wanted to do like a tea party. Like basically, I wanted to do a big collab where everyone came in dressed with giant hats, but I couldn't like contextualize it. Like, but why? Why does everyone come in with giant hats for some reason? And I'm like, okay, maybe like a tea party. But how does one do a tea party stream? Like, how does that work? Do we all bring tea or something? I don't know. Do we all just chat for a bit? Like, that's kind of cool, but like, I don't know. I need something grander. So it just sat in the back of my mind for a bit. And then I think like I saw an episode of like The Office or something. I don't know. I saw some sitcom where they did a murder mystery. I'm like, wait a minute, that's it. A murder mystery stream. That way everyone could come in like dressed up. They could wear big hats if they want, and we could do the big hat thing. But it has like it has some more substance to it. It has like an actual event, something planned out for it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Watch out with me at 3 a.m. I'm gonna come up with something crazy.
So I know you said most of your like hobbies you just tied into your streaming. Is there anything else that you like to do in your free time?
Outside of streaming, I like to game. That sounds super boring, but there's a lot of games I like playing that I don't like playing on stream because I don't know, like okay, for example, I got some friends, right? And they just watched me play Resident Evil 2,
Uh-huh.
right? And like I don't stream Resident Evil 2. Like I could stream Resident Evil. But it feels more fun to me to play that just off stream for some reason because I don't know, there's just something about playing that specific game offline. Maybe it's because it's like with somebody that like is a big fan of Resident Evil 2, so it almost feels like I'm doing a reaction kind of, but not
Right.
really. Um Gaming offline and gaming on stream are two different things.
They are.
That's a big
Yeah.
misconception. If anyone goes into streaming think, "Oh, I'll just stream the games I like." You could do that, but streaming a game you like on stream is going to feel different than just playing it off stream, you know?
Yeah. We recently had a collab between me and Charme Ming
Mhm.
where I was
I'm
playing
familiar
Kingdom
with it.
Hearts, my all-time favorite game. I was like, yeah, I can do proud mode deathless. I do it all the time. And I
Mhm.
even before the thing, I did a little bit of the beginning. I was like, yeah, I didn't die. This will be easy.
Mhm. Yeah.
Uh, I died so many times from stream related
Goodness.
incidents.
Stream related deaths.
Yeah,
R.I.P.
they'll get you.
Mhm. It's it's an interesting experience finding games to play on stream. Because streaming has really changed a lot of how I go about life. Like nowadays, I draw literally every day, just like I have been since I made my model. Every day, I'm drawing something.
Mhm.
I'm drawing a thumbnail. I'm drawing fan art. Well, it's not really fan art if it's of me, but I'm drawing art of myself. I'm drawing art of my friends. I'm always drawing something, literally every day. The only days I weren't were maybe like days I was planning for the murder mystery, but other than that, drawing every day. And that's a big step up from where I used to be like 2 years ago, where where like I said, I would draw twice a year, barely, if any. Right? I would draw like JoJo fan fiction, draw one page of it, get tired of that, and be like, okay, that's it for the year. No more pages. Draw one
Uh,
page of fan fiction a year. Yeah, you'd be surprised like how much work people could do when they're like extremely motivated to do it. Like nowadays I'm extremely motivated to draw and to like edit and like do shit. But
oh,
before like I felt like I had no time, but I would just waste all my time doing like yeah, I still game, I still do stuff. I don't think gaming is a waste of time, but like nowadays I've spent a lot of time doing like other hobbies and shit.
yeah, the motivation is like 90% of the work.
Yeah, just starting is like half the work already.
Yeah, yeah. Is there anything you want to discuss in particular? Any facets you felt like you haven't had a chance to get into?
Honestly, I got so many things I could talk about anything for hours. Like, let's see here. My next big thing that I've been keeping in the back of my mind for like a while now. I got a lot of things in the back of my mind. It's like a fucking storage container back there. I got because I know that there's this thing that streamers do where they will draw other streamers. They will draw and rig their model, and then they have this parental relationship. They call them like papas and mamas because they
Yeah.
are the creators of their skin, let's say. And I'm like, you know what? I can probably do that. But if I was to make a virtual streamer model and rig it, it couldn't just be anything, because that's not anything. Like I never do anything just the way it is, because why not?
Yeah.
They have to be made for a specific purpose and to serve some artistic function, other than just being that I drew it or that I rigged it or whatever.
Uh-huh.
So I'm like, what can I do? Right? Like, what would Joey's children look like anyway? So I thought, you know what? This sounds kind of experimental, but I'm gonna try to make them as generic as possible. I'm gonna take all the cliches, mesh them all in a big ball, and spit out a virtual streamer that is going to be the most generic, purposely generic design I could come up with. It's gonna have all of it, maybe a little too much even, but that's still in the works. That's gonna take a while to make,
With most VTubers, I think you could make the most generic looking VTuber model, and I'll just be like, yeah, I've seen that before, because that's just like
I've seen that before. But this is purposeful generic. Is there even a word for it? Genericity.
That works.
The act
I
of
think
being
that's
generic.
a word now.
Yeah, this is purposeful genericity, because you'll look at it and be like, oh, I've seen that before. Oh, I've seen that before. Oh, I've definitely seen that before. Like, it's not ripped off any particular model, but it has so many little facets that you see like 100 times, that this is like the icon of a generic design.
Mm.
Take a little sip of my water there. But yeah, that's what's coming up next.
So we talked a little bit about anime. Are you a big anime watcher?
Yeah, big time anime watcher, 100%.
What's your favorite?
I mean, I guess favorites. I got this question a couple of times. My favorite, 100%, no doubt, has got to be JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Oh, the opposite of my last podcast.
Interesting. JoJo's is quite the divisive anime. I'll give you
honestly, I pegged you for a JoJo's fan. That energy.
The energy. That's the way to put it. But yeah, 100%'s got to be JoJo's, because again, I can talk about JoJo's for hours, but the thing about JoJo's is it is just so experimental, and it pays off well. And like, those two things alone would put it in one of my top animes, just being experimental and paying off how experimental it is. But not only is it experimental and it pays off, but it's also like a really old, not really old, but it's old enough that it has inspired other works to precede it.
Yeah,
those three things combined put it at the top, because like, a show can be great, right? Like, a show can like be a trailblazer for shows to come, like Fist of North Star, which is great. Nikomon, which is great. Sailor Moon, which is great. All these shows could be great trailblazers and sort of set up what's to come and be inspirations. That's good. But very few of them still last to this day, and actually still have some sort of cultural impact that people still like talk about to this day. Like part relevant. 6, right? Yeah, that's still relevant. Like part 6, the newest anime part, that was written in the 90s. That was written in 1999. So I guess the end of the 90s. But like, the fact that it was written so long ago and people are still like talking about it today, it feels like a fresh show, right? Like the themes in it and the battles and stuff, it feels like a modern classic. But it was written in the 90s, 1999. So the fact that it's still ongoing, it's still experimental, it's still doing its thing. Not to mention the art. Again, I could talk about JoJo's for hours.
The art's great. Yeah.
All that stuff combined, in my opinion, puts it at the top. There are very few shows that I think can have all those three things.
My controversial take on JoJo's is I liked the show before Stans got introduced.
Yeah, same. Actually, funny story about that. So I saw JoJo's with no expectation, right? Someone just told me it's an old show. And I'm like, you know what? I've been watching a lot of old shows. I saw Fist of North Star. I liked it. I saw Kinnikuman, saw Sailor Moon, Gundam. Like, you know what? I like watching old shows. Why have I not heard of this JoJo's Bizarre Adventure? So I start watching it, and I got to part 1. I'm like, oh, this is kind of like Fist of North Star. Actually, I see a lot of Fist of North Star references in it. Like, there's one where Jonathan, he goes up to Dio, he slams open the door, and he's like, I've come back from hell, Dio. I'm like, that's a line straight out of Fist of North Star. That's the exact same that's the exact same thing Kenshiro said to his blonde, long-haired enemy, Sheen. He's like, I'm back from hell, Sheen. I'm like, that's the exact same line. So I'm like, okay, this is like Fist of North Star. That's pretty cool. I'm a big fan of Fist of North Star. And Hamon is cool. The whole JoJo versus Dio thing was cool.
Yeah.
The fact that it's like it takes place in England and it's about vampires was pretty kind of new, kind of cool.
And then Stan's just kind of okay. You got a skill that lets you do whatever you want. Got it.
Yeah. So Stans came into the picture, and I'll be completely honest. When I saw part 3, I didn't like Jotaro at first because I don't really like the whole you're a punk and you're just mean,
Too
but
cool
like
for
you
school.
secretly maybe have a heart of gold somewhere in there. Maybe I'm like, whatever. I like Joseph better. I like Jonathan better. I really like Jotaro after part 4 and over. Like I didn't like part 3 Jotaro, but part 4 Jotaro and part 6 Jotaro I really liked because they really became that whole like elder, mature mentor. Really matured outside of just being, I'm just mean and a badass or whatever. But
it's like part 3 is what everyone cares about.
Yeah, part 3 is a big stepping stone. But here's the thing about part 3. I didn't really appreciate part 3 when I first saw it because I was salty that Hamon like took a huge backseat. Because I was a big fan of Hamon, and like nobody told me, like if people told me, expect Hamon to take a huge backseat and like get used to stands. If someone told me that, I probably would have appreciated part 3 when I first saw it. Rewatching part 3, I understand its significance and I understand why it's important. But when I first saw it, like first time viewing it without any like warnings, I was like, where is Hamon? When is it coming back? Why is it like in the back?
Why are they not practicing like training themselves?
Exactly. Hamon was dope. Hamon was so cool.
It was a very intricate
vampires.
It was a very intricate power system whenever they got down to it in part 2. Like they started breaking down like how it functions and stuff. I was like, oh, okay, I can see how this works.
Exactly.
It's like if you had Dragon Ball Z and like the original Dragon Ball was focused all on ki control and everything, and then you got to Z and they started playing Pokemon battles.
Yeah, those that's a big jump because part 1 and part 2 they didn't have what are called proxy battles, and then in part 3 it became proxy battles, which is just like Pokemon, Zatch Bell, Digimon. Were like they're not really fighting; they have a thing that fights for them, and you just kind of tell it what to do.
You're not winning because you outskilled your opponent. You won because your Stan counters their Stan.
Yeah, like your Stan. Yeah, okay, yeah. The whole like, it's the same type of stand to start platinum and then gets time stuff. I'm like, what? Excuse me? Like, is that really how it worked? But yeah, like, funny story. I actually almost dropped JoJo's in the middle of part 4, right? I was watching part 4, and I was still salty that Hamon didn't come back. Like, Hamon is, like, gone by part 4. I'm like, when's it coming back? Joseph's here. Where's the rest of the Hamon crew? I was still salty Hamon never came back. So I was watching part 4, and I'm like, okay, this was kind of cool. I wasn't really digging the whole slice of life thing. And then I dropped it, like, right before Akira Yoshikage showed up. Like, I dropped it during the episode when, like, I think Koichi and his girlfriend Yukiko got together. I dropped it right there. I'm like, I'll go watch something else. I'm not really digging this. So I like dropped it for like 3 whole months. And then I was like, you know what? I gotta get back to JoJo's. People are still saying this is good. So I got back to JoJo's, and immediately right after, we get into like the most interesting villain in like all of JoJo's. And really a top contender for all of anime, Kira Yoshikage. This guy was something else. He wasn't like Dio, he wasn't like Cars. He was like a quiet serial killer whose whole premise was he just stood in the background. And the first episode we see him in, it's entirely through his perspective, right? Like we don't see it through the protagonist's perspective. We see it through Kira's perspective. I'm like, whoa, what is this? Yeah, Kira really kept me going for the rest of part 4. And then part 4 ended, and that was pretty cool. And then part 5 was a banger from like beginning to end. I loved part 5 from the beginning all the way to the end of part 5.
What about least favorite? What's your least favorite anime?
Least favorite anime? Oh, that's a tough one. Got a few controversial picks because a lot of them are kind of just I just don't like them. Like I saw them all the way, but I just didn't really dig it. Oh man, I got a couple of them actually. So let's just hit everyone like out of the water right now. I wasn't a big fan of Tokyo Ghoul. I'll be completely honest.
Really?
Yeah, I know a lot of people like Tokyo Ghoul, but like the gore is kind of cool. The power system's kind of cool. I'll give it the props first. I like the power system. The gore is very like it serves its purpose to be shock, and it's very shocking. I'll give it that. The characters, they serve their purpose. Like they're cool. I don't think they're amazing, but they're pretty cool. The thing I didn't like about Tokyo Ghoul, okay, maybe it's not the worst, but like one thing I didn't like about Tokyo Ghoul is it has this thing that I now call the Tokyo Ghoul effect, where essentially fights are determined by the person that you know the least about, regardless of any other circumstance. So, like, you could be like Goku. Okay, so if you're Goku and you're in Tokyo Ghoul for some reason, and you're up against a guy and you don't know his name, you're just gonna lose.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like forget power level, forget preparation, forget all that stuff. If the enemy has like one thing you don't know about, if they're slightly more mysterious than you, you're just gonna lose the fight. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm like, because like every fight seemed like I already knew who was gonna win, regardless of what setup or narrative you tell me is like, me and him are the same power level. Yeah, the difference is I don't know what his power is, so that means they're gonna win. Like, I know what your power is. Like, you could tell me you're the same power level.
It's kind of like Hunter.
It doesn't matter.
It's kind of like Hunter in that aspect, where it's like, you don't know what my ability is, but that's why Ahsoka is the coolest character in anime.
Because you don't know what it is. I saw Hunter. I liked Hunter because it a lot of the fights were very cerebral. There were some things I didn't like. Like, I didn't like how wait, is it Karapika? The guy with the glasses.
Karapika?
Or no, I think it's Leorio.
Yeah.
I just like how Leorio just kind of disappeared for like a long time and like never came back, I guess.
He's like the Usopp of that, for a One Piece reference. He's like he's part of the group, but he's not a fighter.
I see. Yeah, I was a big fan of Leorio, so I kind of hated to see him go, but like apparently that's like the thing they do. They like get like a new Misty every season, and I guess Leorio was their Misty.
Yeah, he was just there to like hype them up during their entrance.
Yeah.
I liked how there's like psychological fights that happen in Hunter x Hunter that's separate from the actual fights themselves, and it kind of comes into play with their power system, the Nen.
Yeah,
because like the whole thing about Nen is like once you figure out what somebody's Nen is, you can figure out how to counter it. And like why I like Hisoka, and I talk about him a lot, is he just starts the fight. He's like, this is what my Nen does. You're still going to lose.
Yeah, he just tells them. Okay. Now that I think about it, I don't really have a least favorite anime. Like, I kind of have a lot of gripes with multiple animes, but no gripe is strong enough for me to say this is like terrible compared to all the others. Like, okay, for example, like I like Jujutsu Kaisen. Like on paper, I like Jujutsu Kaisen. But the thing about Jujutsu Kaisen is, I don't hate it. But the thing about Jujutsu Kaisen is, it is a technically good anime. It's a technically good manga. Let's call it that. It's on a technical level, it's good. But the key word here is technical, because, like, okay, the characters are good, right? Great start. The power system is good. Good stuff. The lore is pretty good. Yeah, I like it. So, the whole, like, if you're familiar with Jujutsu Kaisen, they have like curses and curse techniques and curse energy and reverse curse energy. It's fairly deep for the power system, for their magic system. The enemies are pretty cool looking. The protagonists, yeah, I like them. The antagonists, yeah, they're pretty good. So on a technical level, it is very good. The one thing that keeps Jujutsu Kaisen, in my opinion, from being a good to great is that it doesn't really push the boundary, push the envelope. It doesn't like do anything really new that we haven't really seen before. If you know what I'm saying, like the character's good, story's good, enemies good, power system's good, lore's good. It's all good, but it's not being experimental. See, that's where that term comes back in, experimentality. Like they get close to pushing the envelope. They get close to like saying something about society that it seems fairly like philosophical, but they don't go far enough to say this is great, right? Like if you look at like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, right? They touch up on a lot of topics at a very deep level, while also having all these other good technical things like good characters, good story, good magic system. But the difference is Full Metal Alchemist pushes the boundaries. It goes further than where other shows would be willing to go in certain aspects. Right?
The social stories it's trying to tell doesn't
not
necessarily apply to the plot and stuff. Like,
like you don't have to have a theme about society to be experimental, right? No. Like JoJo's like in my opinion, JoJo's like barely ever talks about societal issues in the manga, at least in my opinion, right? It's, to me, it feels very surface level. Like it's there, but it doesn't go deep. But where JoJo's gets its experimentality is in the expression of its medium, right? Like how it chooses to show battles, how it chooses to show what the author likes. Like it's very in-depth in fashion, for no reason other than that the author likes it, which I think makes it experimental, right? Putting great passion of the author into it. So you don't just have to be like, you don't just have to talk about society to be experimental. You could do all kinds of things, right? Like the power system in JoJo's is experimental enough and successful enough for me to say, yeah, it's one of the greats.
I was just mentioning society because I feel like that's where Jujutsu Kaisen tries to get deep.
It tried to. Yeah. Like, I saw the bully episode where, like, the kid was bullied and then he went to go get curse energy to, like, deal with his bullies. And I'm like, okay, yeah, they're doing a bully episode. So this has a chance of, like, talking about bullies or talking about why bullying is wrong or, go deep into, like, that level of societal issues. And, like, it just kind of almost went there. Like, it almost, like, did something experimental and something new and something we haven't really seen before, but it didn't really quite get there yet. It was just kind of, bullying is bad. Don't go out and get curse energy and curse your bullies. Don't do that. And I'm like, that's okay, but it isn't like it's not like a great story to tell. It's just kind of okay.
Right. It's not a story that hasn't been told either.
Yeah, that hasn't been told already. Like I've already heard that story before. We need something new, something right, and like not just experimental, but it has to pay off, obviously, right? Okay, this isn't anime related, but one show that I think is one of the few shows that's too experimental for its own good is probably BoJack Horseman. If you've ever seen BoJack Horseman,
I've seen a little bit of it. I agree.
Yeah. I saw BoJack Horseman, and it was funny, and the characters were cool, and it was definitely experimental, and it definitely paid off. The problem is it was too experimental for its own good. Like, it did a lot of experimentality that didn't pay off or had any purpose other than just to be experimental. Like, I swear, I'm pretty sure it could have had a great ending. Okay, this is probably where it gets a bit controversial, but it could have had a great ending, but then they decided, how shows have great endings? Let's not do that.
Right.
And have a more obscure kind of, it keeps going ending as if there's another season. I'm like, you had a great thing going, but then you just kind of kept going for the sake of it. I'm like, what's the point? Like, what was the point of that level of experimentality?
Right.
You got something great. Just take the payoff.
Breaking convention just for the sake of breaking convention.
Just for the sake of it. Exactly. Just for the sake of it, Like, once you get the payoff for your experimentality, you did it. That's it. You're a genius. You did it. But don't just keep going at it, like, for its own sake. I mean, like, it's just confusing to the reader. It's just confusing to the viewer at that point.
For the risk of falling into Star Wars talk that fills up in another podcast. It's what Rian Johnson did to the Star Wars series, where he was like, well, you expected, Luke to hold a lightsaber forever, and so he throws it off a cliff. Like, well,
oh, I see.
But why? Why did you make him do that other than to make him do that? Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, that seems like that was just kind of thrown in there to, like, basically, I don't want to say trick the viewer, but it feels like it was just thrown in there to be like, oh, you didn't expect that, did you?
Yeah.
What's the payoff? Like, what's the payoff? But again, I'm not too familiar with Star Wars, so I'm just going to have to take your word for it. But that seems like, it's just too experimental for its own good. Like, just take the payoff or don't,
I mean, it's the same guy. I don't know if you've seen Knives Out.
No, I haven't seen Knives Out.
Oh, really? Because that's where he experiments with the convention of a whodunit. But he experiments on it very well and plays with audience expectations very well within
That's what I like to see. That's what I like to see. When the experimentality pays off.
Knives Out, Glass Onion, highly recommend watching.
Is it? That sounds like a revenge story. Is it a revenge story? Knives Out?
No. So Knives Out is basically an old guy, our murder mystery. Old rich guy dies. The family's fighting over who gets the money. The maid that was taking care of him is the one in the will that gets all the money. But it starts with us thinking, well, who killed the guy? Within like 30 minutes, it's shown that the maid gave him the wrong medicine, and so he died from that. So we know right away. So it swaps from being a whodunit to how does she get away with it, because the detective is figuring it out. And then it's,
I see, kind of like Columbo, I'd say.
I don't want to spoil, but then it swaps and swaps again, and like it's very fun.
I see.
But yeah,
big fan of when they like decide to push the envelope, do something new, something you haven't seen before, and it has like a big payoff. Like okay, I watch a lot of anime that are considered like kind of trash anime, like anime that's like serves no purpose other than to kind of look pretty, You know,
Uh-huh.
like I watch a lot of this anime type called "Cute Girls Doing Cute Things," and it's exactly what it sounds like, right? Like,
Oh yeah, I watched it.
there's one yeah, guilty pleasure. Like there's one anime
Yeah.
called Sleepy Princess in the Demon Castle, and it's just
Mm.
you got this princess, she gets captured, and people are trying to save her. But don't worry about that. That's not even the story. That's not even what's important. What's important is every night she's trying to fall asleep in this fantasy world, but she can't, or she wants to make her sleep better. So she spends the whole episode just finding some fantasy thing to make her sleep better. Like she'll get like down feathers off a phoenix to make her pillow or something, you know, or you know, she'll get like a ghost to like make like I don't know, like a mosquito veil for her. And I'm like, oh well, she's just doing cute things. That's it.
Yeah,
like that's the whole story. There's nothing more.
She
to
doesn't really need to be rescued.
Exactly. Like but like that's the thing. I go into these animes knowing that. Like I go into cute girls doing cute things knowing that's what it is. You know, I'm not going to go into it thinking like, oh, this show is obviously trying to say something about the lack of sleep in our society. No. It's just, you know, it's just kind of like
you go into
light watching.
You go into Madoka Magica and you're like, oh, this is just a typical magic girl anime, and it's cute girls doing cute things, right?
No. That's been made very apparent to me. But like, yeah, so anime, you know, I watched the good, I watched the bad, I watched the ugly. I got opinions on all of them, but one I've recently started watching, which I've never seen, by the way, is Neon Evangelion, because everyone's been talking about. Well, yeah, a lot of people have been talking about it, and I've actually never seen Eva. So I started watching Eva, and I'm not sure how I feel about it yet, because everyone tells me it's good. So I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt, and I'm going to be like, okay, this has to be good.
It's one that you have to get to the ending of before like you really get an opinion on it. The ending kind of brings everything into like a different focus.
I see. Okay. I'm like just barely into it. Like episode 3, I like the action. I like the Gundams. I like Godzilla, and they did a collab with Godzilla. So I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna check out Eva. I'm gonna see what all of it's about. But you know, until I finish it, I don't have any opinions on Eva yet. Yeah. I just like the fights right now.
Yeah. So we're pretty well covered. Is there any shout out or anything you want to throw out?
I mean, like, I got so many friends I want to shout out. You, of course, but you know, I got like friend Milo, my friend Iris, my friend Gremlin, friend Undead, my friend Dead, got my friend Kong. I like again. This is one of those things where I could be here for like an hour shouting everybody out. Which I would totally be down. You know what? I'll just do a stream one day where I just shout everybody out. And
just a shout out stream, and then
just a shout out stream. Part 1 of 12.
I want to say before we do end, you being a mime, have you ever thought about just going live and with a muted mic?
Okay, so funny thing. I think that joke was another reason why I decided to be a mime and not any other sort of thespian. Like it could have been like, you know, an actor or like a drama teacher or some other form of thespianism. But I'm like, I'll be a mime because like I know I'm gonna start a stream one day with my mic muted, and then if anyone asks, I'll just say I was just miming, and that's the whole joke.
Like, do like a whole like 24-hour
a 24-hour mime stream only. Oh man, that'd be perfect. Yeah, that'd be perfect. Like, I would really love to do that. I just need to find like the actual, like, other than not talking, I need to find like a gimmick of substance to add on top of that. Like,
another bit,
something to elevate the non-talkingness of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for having me, Kota.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
It was pretty fun.
Make sure you check them out with the links down below. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Who's up next? I believe I know, but let me just double check. Yes, next is Renee.
Nice. Can't wait to see it. I'm probably going to be there when... Well, if it's going to be offline, I'll probably just catch the recording of it. When you decide to upload it, I'll check it out.
But yeah, we'll see you in a future video. Peace.
Take care. Bye-bye.